Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are absolutely decoding the complex psychology of social influence to help you build some unshakable confidence. We're going to look at some wildly fascinating research, academic models, and behavioral science to uncover exactly how respect is built, lost, and, frankly, commanded in our everyday interactions.
So I have to ask, have you ever wondered this? Why is it that some people can just stroll into a room and instantly command it, while others are constantly talked over, ignored, or just kind of taken for granted no matter how hard they try? It's a highly relatable question, right? And the answer isn't just about who happens to have the loudest voice or the fanciest job title. It actually comes down to these invisible psychological levers that are literally being pulled all around us all the time.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're covering 1. Why we lose respect. 2. The science of perception. 3. The psychology of persuasion. 4. Subconscious tricks that work. And 5. How to handle disrespect.
Starting right off with Section 1, Why we lose respect. You know, psychology tells us something pretty surprising. That intense desire we all have to please others, it can actually backfire dramatically in modern social relationships. There are 3 super common, well-intentioned habits that accidentally teach people to just take your time for granted. First up is over-availability. When you immediately drop all your own responsibilities for every minor request, you're subconsciously signaling that your schedule just lacks priority. Second, over-apologizing. Saying sorry for things completely outside your control, it chips away at your authority. And third, suppressing your boundaries. When you constantly hide your own discomfort just to avoid a conflict, your kindness is easily mistaken for compliance.
Now, human behavior is strongly driven by scarcity. It's just a fact. People naturally appreciate resources that are limited. And there's this brilliant historical example of this called the Benjamin Franklin pivot. So during his early political career, Franklin realized that constantly accommodating this one hostile political rival only made the guy even more hostile. No way, right? So instead of offering endless favors, Franklin completely flipped the dynamic. He asked to borrow a rare book from that rival. This actually forced the rival to invest in Franklin, leveraging scarcity to instantly shift the balance of respect. When you reduce your availability, you force others to recognize that your presence is actually a privilege.
Let's look at how this exact concept applies to apologizing. Compulsive apologizing signals to the human brain that you are basically always at fault. And eventually, people unconsciously adopt that exact view of you. Look at this comparison. Instead of the over-apology, "I'm so sorry I'm late," which just projects vulnerability, try a confident acknowledgement. "Thank you for waiting." Shifting your phrasing in this incredibly simple way completely changes how people perceive you. It preserves your personal authority and your social dignity. It's a real game changer.
All right, moving to Section 2, the science of perception.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we judge every single person we meet. This is the stereotype content model. It was first proposed by social psychologist Susan Fiske and her colleagues. Basically, it says that evolutionary biology predisposes us to assess strangers on 2 main dimensions. First is warmth, which is their intent to help or harm us. And second is competence, which is their actual capacity to carry out that intent. Notice the outcomes here. Projecting high warmth and high competence, boom, you get admiration. High warmth but low competence, you get pity. Low warmth and high competence generates envy, while low warmth and low competence just breeds straight-up contempt. Your goal, anytime you want social influence, is always to aim for that golden quadrant, high warmth and high competence.
But how do you actually project that competence and warmth? Well, words carry your message, sure, but your body language, that delivers the emotional context and the credibility behind it. Nonverbal cues heavily influence a person's perceived competence. A firm stance, deliberate movements, maintaining eye contact. These physical things literally broadcast high status directly to the primal brains of the people you are interacting with.
Let's keep climbing that ladder of influence. Section 3, the psychology of persuasion. Now, what's really interesting about this is how simple, yet wildly powerful, the academic principles of persuasion are. Take reciprocation. It's the near automatic response to return a favor or a positive gesture. The absolute key to unlocking this principle is to go first, and go positive. Most people are passive, right? They wait around for someone else to do something nice first. But if you go positive first, without any expectations, you essentially make the world do the heavy lifting for you. We are fundamentally wired to want to help people who help us. Next up is social proof. We constantly look to others for cues on how to act, especially when things are uncertain. I mean, this is exactly why sitcoms use laugh tracks. But it's also why, in an emergency, safety training teaches you to give explicit instructions by pointing at specific people. If you just yell, "Call 911," everyone naturally assumes someone else is already doing it because they are looking at the group for social proof. But if you point directly at someone and say, "You, call 911," you completely override that bystander effect. Dr. Robert Cialdini outlines a few other absolutely crucial principles here. There's consistency, which means once we take a stand, we feel massive pressure to behave consistently with that commitment. Then there's liking, which basically dictates that we say yes to people we already know and like. Authority is our deeply ingrained, almost blind trust in experts or people wearing uniforms. And finally, scarcity, which we touched on with the whole Benjamin Franklin story earlier. The fear of missing out automatically triggers compliance because, well, we all want what we can't easily have.
On to Section 4. Subconscious tricks that work.
So these are the physical, behavioral tricks derived straight from those deep psychological principles. First, control the pace. Fast talking signals anxiety. Slow, deliberate speech, that suggests deep thinking and total confidence. Second, hold eye contact for just 2 extra seconds. It shows you aren't intimidated. Third, sit with an uncrossed posture. Take up a little space to signal high status to our primal brains. Fourth, if you get interrupted, respond with total silence. Literally let them hear their own rudeness hanging in the air. And finally, replace your instinct to argue with genuine curiosity. Start asking questions instead of just making statements.
Actually, scratch that. Let's be totally intellectually honest for a second about the limits of these tricks. As one community member sharply pointed out in our sources, and I love this quote, "Man, I love interacting with people who use these tricks acting like they're a mob boss when they work at a T-Mobile store. It is such a hilarious reality check. If you run around acting like the 48 laws of power personified in a super casual setting, people are absolutely going to clock your awkward attempts at control, and they'll just cut you right off." So the crucial point is understanding that really fine line between true, authentic confidence and narcissistic manipulation. Remember our matrix from earlier? Overusing dominance tactics absolutely tanks your warmth score. It makes you seem desperate, cold, and overly calculating. True respect actually puts other people at ease. It doesn't just try to unnervingly dominate them.
And that brings us to our final playbook.
Section 5. How to handle disrespect.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a sequenced 3-step conflict resolution strategy. Because look, when someone cuts you down or dismisses you, you need a reliable system that keeps you in power without making you look unhinged. Step 1 is the power pause. The very second someone disrespects you, your lizard brain is going to scream at you to fight back. Don't do it. Take a breath and let there be 2 full seconds of dead air. Silence makes people wildly uncomfortable. They are expecting a defensive reaction from you, and when you withhold it, it creates massive psychological pressure. You stay in total control, while they start furiously second-guessing what they just said out loud. Step 2 is the Socratic takedown. Once you've paused, you respond with a calm, surgical question. Something like, "What made you think that was appropriate?" Or, "Can you explain your reasoning there?" You aren't defending yourself, you aren't attacking them, you are just calmly forcing them to justify their rudeness. And let me tell you, most rude people will absolutely crumble when they are forced to actually articulate their thought process to the rest of the room. Step 3 is reserved for those chronic offenders. It's called the gray rock method, popularized by clinical psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula. See, toxic people are basically energy vampires. They feed off of your emotional reactions and the drama. So you protect your energy by becoming strategically boring. You give flat, short answers. You show zero emotional investment. When you become as uninteresting as a literal gray rock, they starve and they have to move on to easier targets. Now, things escalate beyond that. You need these advanced defenses. First, set unshakable boundaries. State facts, not pleas. Second, master stoic indifference. Recognize that some people are just so insignificant to your life that engaging with them only elevates their status. Third, if you're at work, document everything. Dates, quotes, the whole shebang to protect yourself professionally. And finally, the nuclear option, just cutting persistently toxic people out entirely. Your peace of mind is for sure always more valuable than their presence. We're going to leave you with this final, really profound thought today. Respect isn't earned by tricks. It's projected when you stop needing approval. All the pauses, the eye contact, the behavioral frameworks in the world, they are just scaffolding. True respect is your core gravity. So ask yourself today, how will you stop chasing approval and start projecting your own unshakable worth? Think about that for a bit.
and we'll see you in the next explainer.